Alibaba's current CEO, Daniel Zhang, looks to have stepped down from his position as CEO of Alibaba and just stepping down from the company as a whole, which is very interesting, very unexpected, something that we didn't see coming. So that's what I want to cover quickly in this video today. And so guys, as you smash that like button, let me run that intro. What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. This is very interesting, very unexpected, so I'm going to take you right to the press release. So Alibaba came out and said that Daniel Zhang has quit the cloud business in a surprise move. And so just going into the press release a little bit more here, the group said on Sunday, obviously today as I'm recording this, that Daniel Zhang will step down from its cloud business in a surprise move just 2 months after the company announced that he would also be leaving his roles as group CEO and chairman to focus on the cloud unit. So this effectively means that he's out of Alibaba, or at least that's what we would think. Now, if we run into the second page, you'll see that there's a little bit more to this story. So you can see that he's not exactly leaving Alibaba, because if you go into the second last paragraph, Zhang will continue to contribute to Alibaba by channeling his expertise differently, which means that Alibaba will invest $1 billion into a technology fund that Zhang would establish. So I'm going to come back to that of Daniel Zhang becoming a fund manager, but notice that as scheduled, he handed over the role of group CEO to Eddie Wu on Sunday, who will also take charge of the cloud business after Zhang's departure. Alibaba said in May that it aimed to complete the public listing of its cloud unit within the next 12 months, and on Sunday, the company said that it would continue to execute the spinoff under a separate to-be-appointed management team. So, firstly, I would say that, although it does come as a surprise, I think some people internally might not be surprised at Alibaba, because the cloud business has not been growing at the same rate as the cloud business in North America. And one would expect that the cloud business be growing at a faster rate in China because it's more in its infancy than it is in North America. And so it has been really disappointing to see the cloud business growing, but keep in mind that they did explain that part of the reason why the cloud business has not been growing at the same rates that it has been growing in the North American market is because China was just in such a long-term lockdown. So it's just very difficult to hold meetings, etc. The other thing that I would caution against is that one of the reasons why I never forecasted such high growth rates for the cloud business overall is because there's a lot of competition from CCP-owned or CCP-favored cloud providers. And so there's a little bit of funny business going on there. Not necessarily maybe funny business, but just a little bit of additional competition that you have to deal with as a cloud provider in China. And obviously the whole point is that Alibaba would be the best cloud provider. They'd have the best ecosystem. So, many of the private companies would want to work with Alibaba, but of course the government-controlled entities would work with government-controlled cloud providers. And so that's a bit of a difference, nuance, and challenge in the Chinese market. And so I would think that that's what would slow down the growth a little bit. But of course, I think potentially there might be a situation here where people are disappointed with just the overall growth with Alibaba Cloud. And so, of course, it's time for this Daniel Zhang to move on to something better that he's suited for. Now, just going back into here, Daniel Zhang becoming a fund manager, I guess this kind of makes sense. Like it's a good place to put him. But the only thing that I would be worried about is that, they're saying that the fund will support Alibaba's strategy of investing for future growth and continuing to develop our technology ecosystem. Okay, fine, but how long until you run into the CCP risk here? Because remember, the CCP is not friendly to these large organizations buying up these smaller businesses. If you recall, the CCP has been very clear that they don't want anti-competitive behaviors by its tech names in any way, and this includes operationally and ownership-wise. Remember that Alibaba was actually slapped with a $2.8 billion fine after a probe determined that it abused its market position for years. And what did that probe really show? Alibaba did one of these: you either sell on Alibaba.com or you go with our competitors, but you can't have it both ways. Well, that obviously is very anti-competitive. You would want the retailers or manufacturers to be able to list their products on all of the ecosystems. And so, of course, Alibaba took the fine there, albeit it was probably not that much of a fine, $2.8 billion overall, to probably the amount of money that they generated just building that ecosystem with that policy was probably just a slap on the wrist, probably worth it. I don't know. I'm not really close into the details as somebody on the inside would be to sort of come up with that conclusion. But also remember, it's not just operationally that the CCP is anti-monopolistic, it's also ownership-wise. They want these big tech companies to break up. And this is why you saw something like this, where Tencent is likely to cut their portfolio further. But remember, they divested of Meituan and they divested of JD.com amid Beijing scrutiny. And so, you might see more divestitures happening with Tencent. This was also one of the reasons why I thought that it made a lot of sense for Alibaba to commit to this move where they're going to divest a lot of their businesses. So, starting up a fund and you're investing in these smaller businesses that are up and coming, how long until that irks the ire or brings on the CCP to sort of think about separating Alibaba's investments from the fund as a whole? I don't know. I think it's small. I don't think it's going to bring on the ire from the CCP for now. But down the road, does Alibaba run into a challenger? I don't think that it's big enough to create any kind of issue. But I just wanted to point that out because it is moving in the direction that the CCP has said that they don't want these companies to move in. They don't want them to invest in these other businesses and own them. And then, even if Alibaba is owning all of these other small businesses through third-party funds that they themselves are the sole investing beneficiary of, it still, is in that gray area where it could bring upon the CCP ire. So I would just pause and just sort of think about that, and we'll see how it plays out. I might be completely off. Let me know in the comments what you guys think below. But overall, I don't think this is positive or negative for Alibaba. I think it's neutral. Right now, it doesn't look like the market is reacting in any way to this. However, we'll see how this thing opens up in the market. If Alibaba really tanks, I'll come back on and create a video just looking at what the options activity looks like, looking at what the risk-reward situation looks like for some of these types of situations. I continue to be an owner. I will continue to be an owner because I do believe that there's going to be a lot of value that gets released with divesting some of these businesses. And so stay tuned. We'll see how this plays out. See you later, guys.